Shout outs to Ye, man. He was one of the first that told us about the other forms of slavery, the new slavery, what it looks like.
Because it's a choice.
I ain't gonna lie, I was gonna get into that too. I feel like I'm one of the ones that would agree with him on that. What I don't agree with was it the right time. It wasn't the right time. But
you look like one of the ones that agree with him.
I mean, honestly,
your eyes too close
let's break
together.
it down, bro. Like, seriously, it is a choice. Whether you want to, continue to go down that path and go through those, ebbs and flows of slavery or the new age slavery.
What's the flow of slavery?
Man, it's an ugly flow. You're not an owner because you're not even literate enough.
That's part of the American fabric.
You own the jersey, but you don't own the name.
We build you up to break you back down. And I'm going through what America puts me through. Right. But I don't know that I've always understood why. Doing numbers, new plantation.
What's up, y'all? Get ready to break it down and level up. Welcome to Doing Numbers, your number one financial literacy podcast in the world. Clap it up. I'm your host, Olu.
I'm your host, Scott.
So bring your pen and pad because it's about to get real.
That's a fact.
It's the league, the new Plantation. I'm going to get right into it. It's fitting. We in the playoffs time. We just had the draft happen. And I ain't gonna lie, I was talking to my boys a little bit about it, man. The draft really remind me of back when they was, putting our folks up on the chopping block.
Yeah, man. I don't think it's the new Plantation. I think it's just the transition of what the plantation turned into. You know what I'm saying? Like, before, they didn't even invite us in sports. Like, we couldn't partake in sports. They let us in, they kicked us back out, and then they let us back in just to exploit us and make examples out of us.
Because I was going to say,
look at Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That was crazy. And I want to touch on that a little bit, but I'm going to take it back for a second with what you just said.
I was going too fast.
A little bit.
But
it's okay.
That's what they tell us. You oppressing me like they oppressed them. I don't like that.
Man, I'm just trying to make sure our people consistently follow us throughout our whole journey, man. I thought that was the purpose of this.
I don't know what the purpose is anymore.
So, I think, like you said, to kind of piggyback what you say, they didn't want to send, but I think they realized the value that they would lose by not having these specimens a part of, the circus.
I like you use that term.
Yeah. And so, knowing that, damn, man, we got these fast, big, strong people that, we've already given and putting this title on them as being physical, dominant beast, apes, so to speak. That was some of the slander that we were given, in those times that, hey, why not capitalize on them? Instead of it being a fight for your life brawl, how they used to do it.
Buck breaking.
You know what I mean? Let's now, remove the heinous part from it, and we'll give them a little money because we actually like the entertainment value that they provide.
That's the carrot.
And that's the carrot.
So let me ask you this, since you framed it that way, do you think that slavery and the components of slavery, do you think racism and slavery are over now, or do you think that they've just evolved into what we see now in sports?
I think it evolved into what now of what sports is. And then there's other ways as hell. There's other ways as well.
Your Midwest coming out.
Shout outs to Ye, man. He was one of the first that definitely, told us about the other forms of slavery, the new slavery, what it looks like.
Because it's a choice.
And honestly, I do. I ain't gonna lie. I was gonna get into that too. I feel like I'm one of the ones that would agree with him on that. What I don't agree with was it the right time. It wasn't the right time, man.
You look like one of the ones that agree with him.
I mean, honestly,
your eyes too close together.
Let's break it down,
it
bro. Like, seriously. Because it's circumstantial. At the end of the day, it's basically what he was getting at from what I took away from it.
So tell me what you took away from what Kanye said.
It was just circumstantial. Like,
but you about to piss me off.
Pretty self-explanatory. Like, it is a choice. Whether you want to, continue to go down that path and go through those, ebbs and flows of slavery or the new age slavery.
What's the flow of slavery?
Man, it's an ugly flow. So to me, man, you know, it's a circumstantial thing when it comes to this new age of slavery, man. And I say new age meaning in today's world.
Gotcha.
New age, not something that, you know, was involuntary and there was nothing we could do about it.
That our predecessors had to
Correct. But now in today's day and age, it is an option for you. Whether you believe it or not, or, you know, you don't feel like there's resources out there that could remove that stigma from, you know, your family or whatever it is, you got to reshape how you think. And that's basically what I took away from Ye's thing. Is just he was trying to get people to reshape how they think or how they thought. It was just bad timing. And unfortunately, he got, you know, grilled for it. And a lot of people, you know, was hot about it. But I understood where he came from.
I'm conflicted because Ye is home team for sure. But I think the reason why Ye is so controversial is not what he says, because what he says is spot on. It's how he says it and without context. Like, to just say that slavery is a choice. What choice is slavery? You know, what choice was slavery?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I think what he meant to say was that you're choosing to stay enslaved.
Correct.
That would have been a better way to frame what he said, but so he don't really care about how you take what he said, as long as you get the message. But I feel like his faults get in the way of his genius more times than not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like who he is, or what he is, gets in the way of who he is.
I believe it.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, just to kind of get us back on to what the league is, you know, it's more of a, you know, you own the jersey, but you don't own the name. I feel like a lot of these, you know, CEOs, owners, especially NFL owners, they still feel like, man, I have your name. You know, I'm writing these checks, so that's why you can't go out here and do whatever you want to do, or, you know, be the person that you truly are off camera.
So they selling their life rights, huh?
Of course. You know what I mean? Now, it's being facaded through millions of dollars. You know what I mean? So it looks like to the optics that, man, everything's great. And because they got millions of dollars, they should be able to choose how they want to handle their life and do what they want to do. But we obviously see these owners still got them by, you know, the sack. So to me, it don't matter. It don't matter how much money you make in the league. Those owners still got the final say.
So you can still have like oogobs of money and still be
facts
enslaved and disenfranchised,
or have.
So money is not the way out.
It's not. Because, I mean, you can even look at Kaepernick's situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was at the height of his career.
Shout out Cap. Man.
You know what I mean? And was on the way to making buku amounts of money. He chose to do something that he would do off camera. He chose to do it on camera where everyone could see it. And he paid that repercussion. Unfortunately, he's no longer in the league and hasn't been in the league really since that moment happened, or a little bit after that moment. But that's an indication that you don't own your name.
Would you say that was another form of buck breaking, how they handled that situation, how the league handled that situation?
It was tough. You know what I'm saying? I think the league wasn't prepared for it, but I don't know, man. I'm a conspiracy thinker, bro. Like, I feel like, you know, that was all set up to start to roll out a new initiative that the NFL wanted to start putting out. They just had to have someone in the front that they could, you know, kick the can around on. And unfortunately, it was Kaepernick. Because then you start to see all of the inequality programs and initiatives they started rolling out, and we're all equal in the NFL, and like they just started pushing out a bunch of, like, their PR really got to work once that Kaepernick thing, you know, rolled out, because they knew, like, yo, we've done this. We got to really have some type of quick alternative to swing this thing around and make us look a little bit more respectable than what we look like right now.
So for the audience, hey y'all, we throwing around all these divisive terms, so I just want to make sure that y'all following us. When I say buck breaking, it's in reference to back in Jim Crow era, where they would take the finest and the brightest of us and make an example out of us for non-compliance and going against the grain. So when we talk about Cap and the results of his actions, him standing up for his people shouldn't have resulted in him losing a job, especially if the NFL or the organization was for the benefit of black people. Therefore, the exploitation of black people, therefore the revenue generated from black people and the viewership of black people and other races, of course, but mostly us. So the result is in reference to what butt breaking was in the Jim Crow South.
Got you. That's put me on game, man. I didn't know that. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So how free are you if you can be traded overnight?
If I can be traded at all, I'm not free.
Mm.
If I'm not in control of what I do and where I go, 50 Cent got this quote, and I fuck with Curtis, so I'm gonna lay it out here. He said, "I'm no longer interested in being tough. Do you know what's gangster to me? Being gangster to me is being in control of my fate, being able to change things without having to ask somebody else." So what I like about LeBron's career has nothing to do with how he plays the game. It's how he brought his team and his friendships with him and put them into position to not only elevate him, but elevate themselves in their own respective fields. So let's use Maverick Carter for example, right? Like he made him his manager, brought him up with him, and then only allowed Maverick Carter to handle his deals and didn't fire Maverick Carter once he got to a certain status, right?
Mm-hmm.
And handed his job off to somebody else who may have had more experience but didn't have the the complexion for connection.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I like about him and what I like about Jay-Z and what I like about 50 is that they kept us. You know what I'm saying? They kept us around them no matter how big that they got. And it kind of takes resources out of our communities for us to reach a certain point and then hand it off to somebody with a different cultural background. But yeah, man, I think it's super important for us to take the FUBU method for us by us.
Got you.
And that's how we keep from being traded.
So I like to talk about ownership a lot, and the NFL is definitely synonymous with just real life. You know, rappers want to be athletes want to be rappers. So when players sign these multi-million-dollar contracts, who do you feel is in control of the money? Is it the owners or is it the players? From your perspective,
the person that's giving the money is always in control because the contract is only there to ensure that the person that's being paid follows the guidelines of the person that's paying. You can't be a boss if you're accepting money from someone else. You paying the bills by extending an advance or a contract. You know what I'm saying? You're buying the talent. It's like okay, so for the pod, if I hire Chris, if I hire Sam, if I hire O, I'm hiring y'all to do a job. Who's the boss in that situation?
You would be.
Yeah, I'm short, but I'm still the boss.
Yeah.
So, to answer your question, the boss is always the person who's doing the paying, and the recipient of payment is always the worker, in my opinion.
So no matter what you see these athletes portraying on their own personal platforms and stuff like that, I mean, unless, they're literally showing like, hey, I'm taking this money that I'm making and then I am making myself a boss in my own situation. You just feel like that's just a bunch of fluff.
I do not. Like we can keep using LeBron, like the shop, right? The podcast where he's having a candid conversation with any of his guests, XYZ. That's obviously his platform. Whether he used money from another medium, like you say, he's elevating himself in that space, right? And some people surpass the initial medium that paid them the first time. Like however powerful that may be. Like Jordan was the first to get his own exclusive contract where he got royalties from each pair of shoes sold. That elevated him in the shoe market. And I think the same can be said for LeBron and the NBA.
Magic had an opportunity to get shares and stuff from, I believe it was Nike. And then he chose Converse. That's what it was. So Magic decided to opt out of Nike's offer, which he now goes back and look at it like, damn, I wish I would have invested in that. And, you know, I would be worth a lot more than just getting the cash out, you know, through Converse. So I say all that to say, like, you're not an owner because you're not even literate enough to even be on the level of those owners. Because let's be honest, bro. Like, granted, owners and those people who make the scouting advisors and stuff, they make some dumbass decisions. Like GMs, we sit here and look at SportsCenter all the time. Like, I would never fucking trade that person for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me be a GM. I could have easily made that trade. You know, to this day, I feel like a GM has a simple job. Now, if I ever put on the shoes of a GM, I'm sure I have a different outlook on it. But from the outside looking in, seeing some of these moves that they make, a lot of them are like damn, you really woke up and pushed okay on that? Like the Luka trade. I'm looking at that shit like I couldn't believe it. I had to look at my phone like 5 times.
Thought it was fake news?
I thought it was fake. Like, bro, did you really allow that trade to go through? That's like being in fantasy basketball, literally. For those that know about fantasy,
and then who you traded them for is crazy.
You feel me? And then, but it's even like, and I'm sure a lot of y'all have had this before where somebody done sent y'all a crazy deal that you just could not refuse. And you can't believe it. You looking in your inbox like, did this motherfucker just send me this for this? Oh, hell yeah, I'm hitting accept ASAP. That's kind of how it was, you know, with the whole Luka and the Lakers deal. It was like, bro, hell yeah, I'm hitting accept. I'm not looking at that as a rejection. Like, I'm taking that.
I was thinking about what you said about GMs having a simple job. And then I'm also thinking about what deals might have been done behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's where a GM's job really is. Like, not on the court, what happens behind the court. So let's just say the Luka trade, right? Let's just say the Mavs traded Luka for Anthony Davis, but they got like an incentive for the next 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You got to give me your top pick for the next 5 years, XYZ. That's a win. Especially if they go win a championship next year or this year. Well, they can't do it this year, but next year they go win it. And then that deal is like set in stone because of that win. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But they didn't give them any first round picks though.
No, I'm not saying this year.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like in the future.
Oh no, for sure.
Yeah, like if that's the case. And I'm just using as
right.
an example.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
right. That's kind of how OKC was set up.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why OKC is eating the way that they eat now is because they took a lot on the front end by giving up, you know, some star players, KD, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka. You know what I'm saying? Those was 4 studs at that time when they was hooping with OKC.
Right.
OKC was like, all right, you know what? Sam Presti, probably one of the top GMs out there, bro, as far as like how he strategically moves his pieces around and builds his team up. Phenomenal work. And he was like, okay, well, hey, we might suck for the next 2 years, but I'm guaranteeing based off of trajectory, these next prospects that's getting ready to come out in these next 2 years while we suck, they're going to help us by that 3rd year.
Because you got to think about how long I got to be the GM.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, I got to do this job for the next 20 years.
Seriously. Now you look at Zion's situation. Yeah. Like, to me, I don't even know where to begin with Zion, man.
That felt a little personal, huh?
Yeah, because Zion, I feel like is in that plantation mindset, bro.
That boy getting old quick, too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he's just like, oh my God, like, I got some money in my pocket. Now I get access to these type of women. And let's be frank, you know what I'm saying? He plays around with different flavors of ice cream. And I think it's just one of those ones where it's like you give this nigga something, watch how crazy he go with it. He ain't gonna know how to act.
But that's the carrot. You know
but that's the carrot. And I feel like, unfortunately, Zion has fallen in that path. I thought Zion was really going to come into the league and be on some Bron stuff.
But you never know, though. Like, that's the assumption because of his basketball acumen, not his business acumen. And I feel like, much like the Plantation, since there are like legislations in place for slavery not to be as blatant, you have to have like that little carrot that you dangle, which is the fame and the fortune, all these promises that you're gonna be the new face of the league, all this other stuff that we as fans buy into as well, which is why they get our viewership.
But now Zion's gonna have to work for the league even harder now. Now this is the point, like, what I'm realizing is like all these, like when you get in these situations of being like the top pick or you not really panning out the way that you want, you once go from the league working for you. Oh, let's make sure this number one pick gets everything he wants. Let's make sure he gets the top shoe deal. Let's make sure, Sprite reaches out to him immediately.
Right.
Start getting that endorsement money in there. That's the route Zion was on at one point. But now, him being injury plagued and a bunch of just other things that he got going on off the court, he's now in the position of once being the person where the league was like, yeah, we want to work for Zion because he's the next face, to now Zion having to work for the NBA. And we just got to see how that pans out. And what I mean by working for the NBA is now he got to go out here and really bust his ass just to get that next big payday. Like they not about to, you think, when he leave New Orleans, if they decide to cut him or release him, that he gonna go off and go get a super max or a max contract with the next team? Hell no. He gonna get solid. He gonna get a nice little contract. You know what I'm saying? Somebody gonna believe that he still got some juice in him, which he does. He's young, but it's just like the work that he's now about to be put into to feel like it's slavery all over again, just to come out on the other side and then get the special treatment. It's going to be a tall task for him. And that's for a lot of athletes.
Let me ask you a question, bro.
Yeah.
You talking made me think about like when players get traded without notice, right? Like when they find out, well, most players find out without notice, but if you're not like a A-list player like LeBron, where you get to decide your fate or what team that you go through, like that's not in your contract. Why do you think they put it on public display, the reactions of said players who get traded last minute or in the middle of a season or, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that? Why do you think that's put on public display? Do we as consumers of this viewership kind of crave that type of drama and that type of rise and fall of players? And why do you think that that's perpetuated in sports?
I think it's just gotta. It boils down to the humility part. Like, yeah, man, you making all these $1 million, but like we said, bro, we can get rid of you at a blink in the blink of an eye.
So more butt breaking.
So even more. You know what I'm saying? And what better way to do that, to strip the masculinity from this person that feels like he's on top of the world, or this lady that feels like she's on top of the world, than to do it publicly on the national stage. Now you're not as Superman anymore or Superwoman as you thought you were, huh? A Teflon that got pierced through a little bit deeper than what you expected. And then you leave it open to public consumption. And now we the worst when it comes to speculative comments and theories on why certain things went. And now as that athlete, you're now in the space of like, fuck,
because you're already vulnerable.
You know what I'm saying?
Because your life is stripped down at this point.
Your life is stripped. Now you in a sense of feeling alone.
You got to move you and your family.
You know what I mean? And, don't let it be a situation where you're receiving like threats and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? That can get carried away too. And
because if you're a part of a team, especially if you've been a part of a team, your fans are connected to you. So you leaving ain't in their best interest in the first place. That's crazy.
It's not. And don't let it be up to you. Because if it was up to you, bro.
Taking my talents to South Beach.
They own you. They own your
They
helmet.
was burning bronze jerseys in the streets.
Burning bronze jerseys. It's funny. Brian said on the shop, he said it was one, he had made an interaction with one fan. He was coming off. He had just finished making his decision, and he was coming off the elevator, and he saw a fan at one point burning his jersey. Like, as soon as the doors open, he was welcome to his jersey being burned. And Brian looked like, and they didn't know or expect Brian to be coming out the elevator. So when they saw him, they immediately recanted. It was like, oh, Brian put the fire out of the jersey and everything. Like, Brian, we were just doing this just for the hype. We weren't doing this because, you know what I mean? We really felt that way. So, people are people, man. But knowing that, there's some uncertainty there in just the human aspect of it. You now allowing somebody who's not even certain about their life have the ability to make an opinion on something that somebody's a little bit more secure on. It's kind of crazy work to me, man, but it's all a part of the system.
I agree with that, bro. I'm glad you answered the question in the way that it did, the way that you did, and you used the example that you did, because my next question was going to be, we always talk about how like the players fumble the bag with the poor decisions that they make, but we never talk about how like the GMs or the organizations fumble humans. Like we never really back our people when they're being disenfranchised on an open stage like that. Like even the Kyrie situation. You know what I'm saying? He was giving game to his people about their struggle. No business of the NBA or the GM or anything like that. But they stepped in because of public outcry. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And they got a whole movie taken down off Amazon. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Like cancel culture is too powerful and it's too like pivotal in our society nowadays because everybody's sensitive about something.
All the time, man.
So how do we pick and choose what to stand on a soapbox about?
I mean, you got to figure it out, you know, which sword you want to really lie on, man. I think that's just what it boils down to. What means the most to you? I know as me being an athlete growing up, playing, you know, competitive leagues, it was literally like, it was around the clock, man. And when I went to the few tryouts and camps that I went to, it was literally like how they would dress up a slave, like you know, weighing them, getting their arm length and width, and
kind of like
do
boxing.
certain challenges. Yeah, bro.
The
like,
weigh-in.
When you think of it in the grand scheme of things, that's
exactly what it is.
It comes from that. You know, these camps and stuff where they're evaluating. You got, you know, the pre-draft workout, stuff like that. The combine. Oh, we want to line up all the specimens and then let's see who's the best out of all of them. Like, I mean, what would you call that outside of slavery? You know what I mean? Based off of the depiction of what we've been told, taught, and what we do understand of it to look like. So
do you think like the players and the athletes are being paid to generate a higher revenue for the organization? Do you think that's the scapegoat as opposed to just having people do it for free?
I do. And to be honest, like let's just be frank right now. If you were to take all the black people away out of every sport, what sport do you think would still exist? There's probably two, and I'm sure we all thinking about those two right now.
What two you thinking?
Hockey, golf. Those to me are the two sports where they do not really need black influence to derive ticket sales.
I was thinking swimming and boxing.
Boxing to me has always been like a universal thing, at least as far as, you know, I can remember. I know, of course, you know, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, all those guys fought through Jim Crow. Obviously, you know, Muhammad Ali went to jail ultimately because he decided not to forego the draft in the army. So, you know, again, now we could talk about that, you know, slavery. I don't give, if you Muhammad Ali, you're going to serve this country. So it's not about, you can own that jersey, but that name belongs to the country. You know what I'm saying? So whatever it is that we need you to do for the country, I don't give a fuck how many rushing yards you done had this year, touchdowns, knockouts you done had, you know what I'm saying, heavyweight belts you done won. We need you. And your social security number is attached to this US of A. And as long as we got your social and all that information, bro, we can control what it is that we need you to do. And you gonna do it. Whether you get down or lay down about it, but you gonna do it. I'm gonna be a lay down type person, bro. Like, just because I understand my history a lot more than what I did. Probably before, I probably was a person that would probably conform and fall in line. It's gonna take a while. You're gonna have to force me down in order to get what it is that you want out of me. Whether, and you know, barring my life, or if it's not, it is what it is.
Man, Nikki make fun of me all the time for being a rebel. But put in that situation, man, I think I talk my shit starting out. But when it comes to, and we say this a lot about our counterparts, like our outer cultural counterparts, they only respect the loss of blood and money. And I feel like those are my two breaking points. Like, economically, if you hit me, it's not gonna move me until it hits my family.
Mm-hmm.
And on the blood side, there's certain people in my family you could just take. but being more serious, that would hit home for me. So put in Muhammad Ali's situation, I don't know that I would have the fortitude to make all the speeches he did about I'm not going to fight no Viet Cong for you when you won't even fight for me here at home. I don't know that I will have the wherewithal to even make that connection. Because I'm suffering. I'm going through what America puts me through.
Right.
But I don't know that I've always understood why. To even recognize that you're disenfranchising me at home and then expecting me to uphold your values and standards elsewhere.
Seriously.
At the risk of my own life.
Yeah. And then don't let me come back. You ain't gonna even do nothing for me.
Because they don't do nothing for the vets now.
They don't do nothing. And it's very similar to these athletes. These athletes literally go out there. I was just having this conversation
and put their bodies on the
bro,
line.
Literally, back in the 60s, the 50s, 60s, 70s, bro, literally killing themselves after. I can name you like 5 different people that I know, I don't know, but that I've done research on and seen, you know, their history in the league and literally died, whether it was on the field or had some type of traumatic experience on the field that caused them to die off the field. You know what I'm saying? And we're only probably bringing home 50,000, 60,000. So to me, it's like, if owners could still do that, and you know CTE wasn't a thing, and you know all of these different people that come up with, you know, and find out all this information that's going back to the NFL and saying, yo, y'all on some broken system type stuff, people would still be getting paid little to no money, bro.
But relative to what that 50 or 60,000 was valued at now, the exact same thing is happening. Because if you think about what players are making versus what the organization is making, it's probably within the same ratio.
Yeah. I mean, that's true.
And that's the curtain, right?
Yeah.
We paying you more to make you feel like you're more secure by the finances. But the same risk exists.
Same risk exists to a degree, because, you know, now they've lightened up on how you hit when it comes to the NFL, and you know,
another curtain, because you're still getting hit. You can't control how you fall.
No, you can't, but they're controlling where you get hit. And I think that's, you know, the little silver lining that they want to put on it.
But that's the curtain. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, like I'm gonna implement these statutes to make it seem like I'm opposing these things from happening. But we still gonna play this game.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
We still gonna earn the revenue from this game.
Yep.
And even if I put these implementations in place, there's nothing to keep you from breaking them outside of the repercussions.
Facts.
Right? It could very well still happen. And I think that's the curtain. Like with the what did you bring up earlier? It wasn't DEI, but it's along the same lines. I can't remember what you said. But I would use that as an example that if I put these safeguards in place, it makes it look like I'm for this initiative. Oh, it was the NBA and how they handled Kyrie, I think. No, it wasn't Kyrie. It was Zion.
Okay.
Like how they try to keep players in line to kind of put on this facade that they want their players or the people or their employees to embody XYZ while still supporting what funds those habits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And they know. You know what I'm saying? They know what vices us folks got out there. And that's why it's not a coincidence when you see certain situations set up when you're looking at TMZ or they shoot out the latest TMZ gossip or news, who's with who. What does that setup look like? It's always a similar setup, no matter what, when it's the demise of our black athletes. They either put around a ton of women. You got Watson with them whole masseuse, the massage thing. You got Ray Rice. Everything's synonymous to a woman being involved to the demise of a lot of these athletes. Granted, whether it's, their own self-doing or certain people being planted. Honestly, I feel like, let's just be real, bro. They plant people in certain positions, bro. Once you get up there into that level and you become a target, they start planting different things that they know you gonna go over there and mess with.
That's part of the American fabric.
Mm-hmm.
We build you up to break you back down.
And I also say this, man. And when you think about a lot of these colleges, man, what I'm starting to see, I don't know if you paid attention on the tube or not, but I'm starting to see more commercials, which is good. But it's like, why now? Where these colleges are actually offering financial literacy classes to these student athletes, which is a good thing. So I am proud of that. But my question would be, why so long? Are you guys now offering the financial assistance because you got NIL now? Because if so, why wasn't this a thing before NIL? Like,
I think we know the answer to that already.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But because again, you want to safeguard, right? Mm-hmm. This is where your safeguard motion comes into play at. As an NCAA, as a big entity of what the NCAA embodies, they gotta put something in place. Are we now tossing millions to a 17-year-old, 18-year-old? Mm-hmm. Lord knows we ain't gonna hear the end of it if they burn through that money that fast and then they ass out or they get kicked out of college or whatever the case may be.
Well, the things having all that money out of nowhere leads you to.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So now they want to, cover their tracks and offer these financial literacy classes. But it's like, bro, you should have been doing that. It shouldn't have took an NIL for you guys to say, you know what? Financial literacy matters to all students, not
Explain
just student
NIL
athletes.
To the listeners.
Name, image, likeness. Mm-hmm. That's the new wave now in today's sports field, in today's sports circle. A lot of these kids are coming out of high school 16, 17, 18 years old getting $1 million contracts. It was unheard of. I know a lot of y'all are probably like, damn, I wish I was still playing today. I'm one of those that wish they were still playing. But, now that they're getting a hold of these millions, regardless of the fact of them getting millions, they still surrounded by people who still not as affluent. Mm. So now you giving a 16-year-old earlier access to these millions. Like, you're not even letting their the right lobe fully develop before you start throwing out these millions of dollars.
Not the cerebral cortex.
Seriously. Yeah, so you're not letting that fully develop and you out here throwing these millions. That's a real thing, bro. Mm-hmm. And they know what they're doing. Like, they know the psychology behind this. They have people in place that get paid a lot of money to figure out all this information.
The only way these big corporations can be successful is if they are predatory. And that's the issue. Mm-hmm. That we're such easy targets. We're the best easy target. Like, you're not going to go... If you was a hunter-gatherer forager, right? Mm-hmm. You wouldn't go for the hardest chicken to catch to make your dinner for the night.
Right.
You're going to go for the easiest one with the fattest breast and, you know what I'm saying, the biggest wings. Yeah. And that's who we are. Yeah. Like, we the biggest lunch for these people. Yeah. Because we perform at the highest rate. We draw the most viewership and entertainment. Like,
and we just got the dopeness to us. Yeah, bro. Like, it's just an innate thing. And a lot of people want it, man. So they like, shit, if I can't get it, I'll spend on it.
Nah.
Just to get close to it, I'll spend. But just know, I hold that rug up underneath your feet. So whenever you thinking about getting froggy, my boy.
Don't make me give you back to the hood.
No cap, right? Like, for real. That's a real bar, bro.
Nah, it is.
And they probably definitely spinning that tape.
Nah, facts. That's crazy.
So if financial literacy is so important to the league, why aren't players being trained on how to navigate these unpredictable shifts in income? We was just talking about that a little bit.
But I don't think it is important to the league. I think it's important to the players, and it's important to the league to keep that information from the players. Mm-hmm. Because the only way you can capitalize is if you take advantage of ignorance.
Now, I will say this. I saw a clip with Chris Carter. He was talking, and he talked a bit about his draft day. I think it was just like a random last year or the year before or something like that. But they have conversations about their draft days and stuff, like the old professionals and stuff. And he was talking about how, like, in the NFL, they do provide a financial advisor or something like that. But a lot of these young guys, because he even said it, like, he was one of them. Like, I didn't take up the offer, you know. But he was on the record saying that the NFL does have different things in place. Which, do I feel like they don't at all? No. Do I feel like us as black men, we utilize those resources? No. But do I think they're like pushing that as an agenda? Like, no, you're going to get this advisor whether you like it or not, because we're not about to see you out here on the street. No, I don't think they have any type of like reinforcement on that, or any type of correctional, procedure put in place,
or repercussions,
or for those type of situations. So
correctional,
and they leave it up. They leave it up to those young ones to make a dumb decision. Like you said, they prey on the fact that they're gonna make a dumb decision. He 18. Let's offer him a financial advisor. We know more than likely he's not going to take it, because he's going to feel like he can handle his own money. Because that's what we all feel like as black people, and just people in general. We all feel like we can handle our own money, but we allow people to handle everything else for us, which is crazy to me. And I had to sit back and think of that on my own. Like, damn, that's crazy. I would be so hesitant to allow somebody to control my finances who's qualified, licensed, certified to do this, versus me who's non-qualified, fucks his money up every week, spends it on frivolous liabilities, don't have an asset in my portfolio to save my life, but I know how to manage money. But I'll let somebody manage where I go sit at a restaurant and manage what's on the menu for me to choose out, or I'll allow my job to manage me on what my future may hold. But you're not allowing the finances that you make from it that can take you out of that situation to be managed by someone who's like, okay. And I don't know if it's like does this person have my best interest? Only I have my best interest?
I think that's what it is.
You feel like that? Okay. Talk to me a bit about that.
Because when you don't have trust, the only thing that you feel comfortable with is what you're used to. Right? Like, you much rather spend money, no matter what amount it is, on the things that you are used to spending it on, rather than spend it on something that's unknown because you feel like it's a waste. Even if you are wasting it on the things that you used to spending money on. What hoes say? Money, cars, clothes, hoes. That's what we tend to spend money on in our communities. I think, like that bar, it was just holding a mirror in our faces. Like, yeah, me, Jay-Z, I own my own label. I own my own clothing line. I have business partnerships. I've leveraged my stake in the music industry for a presidency position at Def Jam. You see what I'm saying? Yep. But here you are buying my music, and this is what you spend your money on. Money, cash, cars, hoes. These are the things that are important to you. And we self-perpetuate those messages in our communities because they're comfortable and trendy, as opposed to looking at what's really equitable for our communities. So I think, much like in the music industry, is the same in sports and entertainment. Like, we highlight the things that feel good or are easily understandable, accessed, and conceptualized. But we have to be the change we want to see.
We do.
Like, that's why I appreciate Jalen Smith so much, Jalen Brown so much. You know what I'm saying?
For what the initiatives he got out.
Well, not just the initiatives, his approach to his contract, and LeBron too. The reason why I like both of them and their stories and their careers more so than their gameplay on the court is because that they used their leverage as soon as they made it to the league. They didn't wait. They didn't, you know what I'm saying, play touch and go with, all right, let me see what I can get out of this. Like, you drafted me first for a reason. Let me see what I can get up out of this. Like, Jalen, I watched the interview. He was saying that he didn't take an agent when he first got to the league. He used his union, the NBA union, to get everything that he wanted out of his deal. But most agents start out with wanting 4%, but what's 4% of $230 million?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
And that's money I could be spending to support the things that I care
No,
about.
for sure. That's a hefty bill you're paying.
Facts.
I don't know what that retainer is.
And that's after taxes. And
That's
NBA
after
players
taxes.
get paid every week. That's not one lump sum
Yeah.
of money. That's not a cash advance.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll be interested to know how those agents retainers are set up because they are making buku bread. Don't know if that 4% is an annual fee or if it's
It is annual.
It's annual. Okay. So
and that's outside of endorsements. That's just the upfront fee.
It's just the upfront fee. So yeah, man, it's a lot. And then on top of that, okay, I'm paying for this agent. He's taking 4% out of my pocket.
I would much rather pay my friend that.
You know what I mean? So, and now I got these other things that I want to do. Again, I'm young. I'm going to spend my money on some crazy stuff. So now I'm probably spending out of 100%. I probably spent 50% of my check, my first check. Now I'm left with 50% left. It's going to be kind of hard for me to,
That 50 going to turn into 40. That 40 going to turn into 12. That 12 going to turn into 3.
And it's gone. And again, this don't matter what race for real, because I even know Kurt Schilling. He's an ex-baseball player, phenomenal pitcher, played for the Boston Red Sox. And he made a lot of money in his time. And he made the wrong investment. He invested in this gaming company in the beta stage, and
that man bought rental spoons.
Type deal. It's like $130 million I think he put up. And that was pretty much all his cheese because he was believing in it. Bro, he went broke. Like, and that's the thing. So it don't even necessarily be about the fact.
Table after that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm irate. And it's not even about like, okay, I literally went out and spent all my money on dumb shit. Like you could literally have a good intention, but still not have the financial literacy and the knowledge to say, oh, let me do a follow-up research on that. Let me really look at that evaluation from this company before I decide to put in a 7-figure check towards that. Let me, regroup.
And that ignorance is why agents have jobs.
And that is why agents have jobs. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna knock Kurt Schilling. He was just trying to make a power play for his folks.
Yeah. He had the right idea, but the wrong plan behind it.
Exactly. And, he talks about it too. Like, there's a ton of, different conversations he's had on YouTube.
That's powerful. Like, that's the part that our communities are missing.
Yep.
We always talk about the highlights, but we never talk about the pitfalls, and we allow the next person to make the same mistake.
Yep. And then start casting stones at them like it never happened to us. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Throw rocks and hide. Is that what they say?
Throw a rock and hide your hand.
Hide your hand. So yeah, man, it's crazy, bro. It's like, out here. But this is why doing numbers is important.
It is.
This is why we are on this platform speaking the way that we speak week in and week out. For those that are on the come up that just need a little bit of understanding. You might not even have a community where you are listening right now. We could be your community, and I hope that we are. Me, myself, Olu, and my man Scott, we hope that we are the community for those that are in need of some financial information, some financial, independence, and understanding of how this works as we go through our journey. Now, when you see these players though on the podium, man, post game and stuff, and they break down and they're upset, do you think that that's more grief or is it exposure being shown from the league upon that particular athlete?
I think it's the same production effect from the league that we get from reality shows, right? Like, I'm not saying it's scripted, but what I am saying is it garners the same effect, right? Like, it garners that type of attention because people love to see a giant fall. And that's what's wrong with consumption. It doesn't matter whether it's positive consumption or negative. It's something to watch. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's my take on that.
I have this little thing, man, because I want to kind of go back to what you said, and y'all need to go back and check out that episode too, because that was a really good episode. Scott really made a great point, and it was along the lines of like, again, why? And I'm paraphrasing, why would we fight for a country that never fought for us, so to speak? Can our wealth and freedom can it be created and exist in something or a system that was never meant to protect us?
I think that's part of our issue. Like, personally, as Black people, we always want to be included with the people that blatantly disenfranchise us and tell us that they don't want to include us. Like, we want to be accepted so fucking bad that we won't even take our resources to a place that openly welcomes us. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That we actually come from. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And it's frustrating because the need to be accepted supersedes the survival instincts for black and brown people. And I don't like that, bro. It's really disheartening that we don't value ourselves enough to take ourselves where we are valued. Like, we got to win this battle first of approval before we even see ourselves as worth the battle. I don't like that, bro.
And I'm glad we had this topic for real, because what I want to do, man, I want to take doing numbers out on the road. And we talked about this, man. We want to go hit colleges around the country, you know, and talk to these student athletes. Hell, we even want to go into these high schools. So if you out there listening, college advisors, counselors, ADs of high school and colleges, myself, my man Scott, man, we're looking to come and talk to all the kids, student athletes, students in general, about financial literacy, the importance of it, and how to start building group economics now while you're young. So by the time you do start to advance through the remaining portion of your education career, you can have some good footing and understanding of how to start moving your money around and making the right jumps. Any high school campus, come talk to us. Olu Scott at Doing Numbers. And if you like what you heard, please like, share, subscribe. Doing Numbers Podcast on YouTube, Instagram Doing Numbers, TikTok Doing Numbers Podcast as well. Every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that was another episode. Peace.
See you next week.